What's going on, y'all? Welcome to another gatorSTUDIOS video. Today we are covering Undead Iron Fist. I made a video about this comic when it was coming out, crashing out. As you know, I'm a big Danny Rand fan, so you know we're gonna cover it. If you guys don't know, quick rundown for the people that don't understand why this is such a crazy comic. Roughly around like 2 years ago, Danny Rand got murdered on his character's anniversary and in canon lore, his 33rd birthday. Hey bro, what hell of a birthday. So basically he's been dead for a minute, and then Lin Lee took over the mantle, or the main mantle of Iron Fist, Lin Lee being the one that most people honestly know Iron Fist from modern day because of Marvel Rivals. So where does that leave Danny? We're about to find out. So issue 1 opens up with Luke Cage at Danny's grave crying. Now this is already a check off the old checklist, because this is one of them things I was talking about. I wanted to see. If I did not see Luke Cage in this comic, I was about to crash out. For those of you that don't know, Luke and Danny have a long history together. They're best friends. He's basically talking about how upset he is that Danny's gone, and he's sad, right? Then boom, he notices there's a giant hole in Danny's grave with footprints to match. So we flash forward and we see Danny walking through New York City. Danny then proceeds to start fighting this family, I guess, and he throws them out of their house. All the meanwhile, he has a voice in his head that we're seeing through a purple text box. The voice in the purple text box is telling him, I granted you this power, now make sure you complete your mission. These people he's fighting are possessed by monsters. To be exact, the Chi-Lin, which are like these little demon looking things that are possessing. Hey, you need to possess your way out my boy Danny's way. It's all smoke for them, and Danny's all about it. He's fighting, but nobody around them can see the Chi-Lin besides Danny, so nobody really knows why he's doing what he's doing. He lays them out on the concrete, on the pavement, as he's supposed to. And then more of them just keep coming. So he's like, all right, bro, I gotta get moving for my mission. Because what is his mission? He's trying to get to Rand Corporation. If y'all don't know, Danny Rand owns a business that he inherited from his father. And he's trying to get there for whatever reason for his mission. And he's on a limited time. He doesn't have time for this. None other than Miles shows up, and he's like, hey bro, whoever this guy is fighting people in the street, random people, we ain't had none. So he follows Danny down to the sewer to where Danny's fighting, and Miles can't see at first until he uses his electricity, and it exposes the Chi-Lin for their true form. Danny sees, and you know, Miles and Danny are kind of bickering a little bit because Miles still thinks Danny's, you know, like a villain, but Danny's really not having any of that. It kind of just explains, he's like, bro, we gotta beat these dudes. So he ends up doing this move called Rays of Ra and sends them straight to hell. Let's talk about hell for a second. So this comic cuts in between the past and reality a lot. So the way I'm gonna tell this video, I'm mainly gonna tell a lot of the main story and then cut to some stuff because this has been throughout the comic. But basically, Danny in the underworld was climbing a giant wall. And this is what's really crazy to me. This boy talking about he's been climbing this wall for days. Days? You talking days, my nigga? And he comes across a dragon. Now, said dragon, he gets in a little squabble with, and he wins, supposedly. We'll come back to that. Remember the dragon. It's gonna be important later. Anyways, Danny gets straight up out the sewer and he's like, all right, Miles, I'll catch you later. And then finally we flash forward back to a scene in hell where Danny finally makes it to the top of the rock wall he's been climbing for what seems like forever. Apparently, boy talking about days. And he meets none other at the top than Orson Randall. Orson Randall is a very important character to Iron Fist because he was Iron Fist before Danny was. So he knows a few things. He is dead now, so that's why he met him in the afterworld. And they're talking for a second, and then Orson Randall proceeds to tell Danny everything they learned was a lie. And we get to see like this banner thing burning up, and it's basically Danny's power on Earth because his power is unlimited. So that boy is really running out of time. He has to complete his mission. A good looking person watching this video. You see that idiot right there? Excuse me? Shut up, I'm not talking to you. Bro, what? Be mad. You should subscribe to him. He be working hard on videos and he needs more subs. I mean, would be nice. Alright, get a grip, Buster. Oh, fuck! So, issue 2 starts off with Danny running through the rooftops fighting these dudes, and the voice in his head that's speaking to him is talking to him, and it says, Danny, I'm giving you this power. Don't forget to deliver vengeance. Whatever this being is that is granting Danny this power, speaking to him, has the same goal as Danny, in that it's wanting somebody in Rand Corporation off the map, and Danny is of that same opinion. So anyways, he's running from these monsters doing badass martial arts, and then he ends up accidentally kicking a chick off the building, which, yes, these are villains, but they are people being possessed by the Chi-Lin. So she's flying off the building, and none other than Daredevil saves her, and he's like, hey, I got you, but we gotta get this guy, he's tripping. And basically this voice is talking to Danny, and it asks him why he's doing this, what fuels him. He tells his voice a lie is what fuels him, because, like Orson Randall said, everything they learned has been a lie. Danny's running through the city, and he's fighting these things, and the voice in his head is telling him, bro, we don't got enough time for this. You really gotta get to Rand Corporation, and you're using too much power. It's burning too quickly. And he's like, alright, sure, you're right. And just as he agrees, none other than Daredevil shows up again. Now, y'all, I need y'all to remember, Daredevil is blinder than me off of some like banyan, so he can't see Danny. He can't see Danny, but he's like, hey, bro, whoever you are doing what you're doing, you are tripping, big bro. Daredevil's very smart, so he can obviously see that whatever's going on here is people like being possessed. He's like, but you gotta stop. Now, Danny, he's not hearing any of that, so he proceeds. So Daredevil's trying to stop Danny, and Danny unlocked this new move with his newfound power where he can just like turn himself, I don't know if it's invisible, but like things can't touch him. He's fighting Daredevil and these other dudes, and he just keeps running until eventually Daredevil stops him, and he tells him, Danny, it's you, isn't it? Because he realizes Daredevil is a very smart character, so he realizes the exact fighting patterns and styles he's using are just like Danny's, and he's very confused. He's like, what's going on? And Danny tells him, he's like, bro, you can't stop me, I don't got enough time. Danny lets all the Chi-Lin attack Daredevil to make an escape and runs. Now, if we take a look over at the underworld side of the comic, Orson Randall quickly tells Danny there's corruption behind the Order of Iron Fist, and he needs to take down the person who made the Book of Iron Fist. Now, here's where things start to come together. They cut to Quan Yaozu. Who is Quan Yaozu? Hold on. Stay with me. Quan Yaozu was another Iron Fist, and he was different from other Iron Fists. He was driven on wanting to rule Kunlun, just being evil. In his own selfish endeavors, he tampered with the Book of Iron Fist and wrote many things, including the fact that an Iron Fist should die when their chi matures, which is around the age of 33 when Danny Rand died, by the Chi-Lin. But he's really just doing it for his own selfish endeavor so he can get their power. And guess where he's at? The Rand Enterprises penthouse. Yo, me and all my homies don't rock with Quan Yaozu. Hey, we about to see what we gon' do. And boom, issue 2 ends. Issue 3 opens up with Danny still making his way to Rand headquarters. If you guys don't know by now, this is kind of how the comic goes. And he heads to Times Square, where Fat Cobra, possessed by the Chi-Lin, is there waiting for him. Now, we will get there. We will talk about who Fat Cobra is and, you know, what's going on. But let's go to the underworld for a second. Orson Randall takes Danny to Osiris to talk about being resurrected. Who is Osiris? Osiris is the Egyptian god of the underworld. I'm not gonna lie, I think this is one of the coolest parts about this comic. I think this is really cool. You guys may know who Moon Knight is. I literally just made a video about him. Check that out when you get the chance. Moon Knight is all about Egyptian gods. He's the avatar for Khonshu. Osiris is the Egyptian god for the underworld. So it's just very cool to see the connection, because, you know, oftentimes in Marvel there's so much going on. Like, things like that don't oftentimes get shown a lot. So this is just cool. But basically, Danny makes his pitch for why he should be back, and he's telling them, I was wrongfully killed because of the interference with Quan. And he's saying other Iron Fists are just going to continuously die over and over again the same way wrongfully if we don't stop Quan. And Osiris is telling him, he's like, I'm not going to go up there and do anything about it because I can't leave my duties. But, and I kid you not, he says, if Khonshu can have an avatar in that life, I can too. So boom, there's your explanation on how Danny got resurrected, and there's your explanation on who has been in his ear yapping in this purple text box this whole time. Now back to Fat Cobra in Central Park, and it's not just Fat Cobra. The Bride of Nine Spiders and a few others pull up that are all possessed by the Chi-Lin. Now they are all champions of different heavenly cities, just like Iron Fist is a champion of Kunlun. There's all types of Iron Fist lore I'm not going to get into in this video, but basically they kind of changed some of the lore with Iron Fist recently, or in recent times, semi-recent. And there's multiple heavenly cities that have champions. Iron Fist is the one for Kunlun. And some of them somehow got possessed by the Chi-Lin, and Iron Fist has to fight them. To which he's honestly getting smoked until he uses apparently his most OP move I've ever seen, Rays of Ra. And he takes the Chi-Lin straight up out of him. Sends them boys straight to the underworld. He finally made it to the entrance of the Rand Corporation, and he's just about to head inside until he sees the one person he didn't want to see. Luke Cage, possessed by a Chi-Lin. And not just any Chi-Lin. The one that possessed Razor Fist to kill Iron Fist before on his 33rd birthday. I mean, you just can't make this level of disrespect up. You know what I do to him? Do you know what I do to him? I'd really get with it. Hey, y'all don't even know. I really, y'all seen Karate Kid. Issue 4 starts out just straight squabbles. In present 616, Luke Cage is actually the mayor, so I guess that means he got the police possessed too, because they're there too. However, Iron Fist makes quick work of them. Luke, on the other hand, is a different story. Plus, he doesn't want to hurt Luke, so he's trying not to fight him. More so evade, but Luke is proving to be much more of a challenge than he's trying to have him be. Eventually, Danny Lucky just says screw it, and that boy just straight starts booking it. Into the Rand skyscraper, just starts running up. He said, alright bro, you got that big bro. But Luke Cage is on him, bro. He's on his heels. And he catches up to him, so Danny turns around and hits him with a smooth right hook, cracks him in the jaw. But that's Big Luke we're talking about. This ain't no regular bystander. No, sir. And he hits him with one of these. Y'all know Big Show? Y'all know Kane? He hits him with one of these. Even Orson Randall sitting there watching in the underworld, he talking about, damn. I'm talking, this chokeslam was so hard, it put him on the floor. That boy sleep. He passed out. And he wakes up in the penthouse with Quan Yaozu. And Quan Yaozu gets straight to the hating. That boy was literally sitting there watching Danny's unconscious body, waiting for him to wake up, just for when he wakes up to talk trash. And Danny's talking back, he's like, bro, you really made this book. You really did all this stuff for your own benefit. And this dude starts yapping, bro. Like, he really just starts talking mess. He's talking about the book is binded with Shao the undying scales and his own blood and chi. Like, what? And then he's just talking about he's been feeding on the fear and weaknesses of the other Iron Fist. And he's over here calling himself the immortal weapon, talking about dragging people to the 8th city. He's sick. He's sick. He's sick. And he literally tells him, he's like, bro, as long as Kunlun breeds new champions, I will forever be the immortal weapon, bro. Y'all are just feeding me. Y'all are feeding, and Danny's on the floor. He's on the floor. What is going on? Straight disrespect. Real villainy. Then he picks up Danny's arm and he's looking at it. And he's like, bro, this is Osiris. Osiris really thought he was doing something? You're trash. But Danny ain't playing. He must have forgot who this is. And he's talking about there's somebody else who wants to talk to you, big bro. Now remember that dragon I was talking about? Danny made a deal with the dragon to help him fight because Quan and his Qilin slayed said dragon. Tan Long, I don't know how to pronounce his name, I'm not gonna lie. They slayed that dragon because it protects the 7 cities. They slayed it and it wants smoke. I mean, look at the aura. So Danny gets to work. He starts putting straight belt to ass. Daredevil finally gets there and he's like, bro, what the hell? I gotta get up there quickly. But it don't matter because Danny's already putting in the work up there in the penthouse. That boy going buck wild up there. And then the demon that possessed Luke walking up talking about, hey, what you doing? That boy Danny turns around and hits him with the cleanest right, and the dragon spirit attacks the Qilin straight up out of Luke. That boy's winded. He wastes no time and hits that boy Quan with Osiris's fury, and he flies out the window. That boy smacks the floor and then gets grabbed by the dragon. So I'm gonna go out on a limb and assume he's dead meat. That's what I'm gonna assume. Luke wakes up, he's like, bro, what just happened? And then Daredevil runs in there and he's like, hey, Danny, Luke's talking about Danny. Tell me why this comic is gonna cut to Danny's grave getting destroyed by a construction crew that Luke ordered. And they're like, hey, Mayor, we got you. He's gonna talk about some, where are you, Danny? And then it's gonna show Danny in the underworld talking about, you deserve some rest, go in peace until the next time you're needed. And then we get a sneak peek at a cover for a comic coming this year called Deadly Hands of Kunlun with Danny and Lin Lee. Man, get that shit out of here, bro. Okay. So now that we are officially done telling the tale of Undead Iron Fist, let me as an Iron Fist fan talk right quick. I think this comic did some great things, and I think it did some lame things. First of all, I'll say, it made Danny feel like a very cool character again. He was putting in work. And then we got to see Luke and Daredevil, which is another thing that made me very excited. I was wanting. Now here's my problem. this whole book was sort of marketed and had us, the Iron Fist fans, on the edge of our seat for, is Danny coming back? Is Danny gonna be the Iron Fist? And it's like they went the cheapest route ever. They didn't explain anything. Nothing happened. Really, there's no difference from where Danny already has been the last 2 years being dead and now. He just became the undead Iron Fist. We know that he's with Osiris, but he's still in the underworld. Like, I was so excited. I was so excited to see him reunite with Luke finally. That was like my number one thing I wanted to happen in this comic. I wanted to see him reunite with all his people because I loved reading the old Iron Fist and Power Man comics. And I love the weird little family that Danny, Luke, Colleen, Misty, all of them have, and then, you know, other street level characters like Daredevil. I love that vibe that they got going. And I was so excited for Danny to reunite with them, and they didn't reunite. They seen him for a second, and now they're just sitting there talking about, Danny, where are you? Shut up. Shut up. And then we're talking about Deadly Hands of Kunlun. This is no shade to Lin Lee, and I say this all the time, but I just can't stand these legacy characters that take over the character's mantle. The way I always like to put it, look at Peter and Miles. Peter and Miles can perfectly coexist with Miles being Spider-Man, Peter being Spider-Man. Miles isn't overshadowing Peter and taking his superhero outfit. They're just coexisting. When it comes down to Iron Fist, Danny's just away, dead, in the underworld. He's not Iron Fist. Like, yes, he is Iron Fist, but is he really? Is he really? He's slumped on the floor in the underworld, while Lin Lee is 2616, the Iron Fist. Same with, like, Robbie Reyes and Ghost Rider. Where's Johnny Blaze? And it's not that I have anything against these new characters. I don't. I like Lin Lee. I think he's a cool character, but they can't make me grow up with these characters like Danny Rand, love them, learn about all their worlds, and then just do this. Like, bro, I want Danny Rand back. And we still didn't really get a full explanation on if he will be Iron Fist again like that. So, I don't know. Let me know what y'all opinions were on this, seriously, because I'd love to know. And drop a sub, maybe. Look at the bar, bro. You see this. You know this. Without further ado, I appreciate you guys watching. I will catch you next time. Peace.